it's not my time yet to lose my optimism, even if the industry as a whole, in a lot of ways, can be very frustrating. But I would say there are so many layers to everything in life, and I think with journalism and with journalists, it's the same. My name is Sarah Souli, and I'm a journalist. My first reporting job was completely by accident. I didn't think I was going to be a journalist. I studied political science, and I knew I wanted to do something political. I thought I wanted to work in international development, which I did that and saw firsthand a lot of stuff that really did not agree with me, either on an intellectual, emotional, or ethical level. And I was living in New York. Some personal things happened in my life, and I was like, I just completely want to change. I'd always loved writing. And a friend of mine introduced me to this magazine called Colors Magazine, which in like the 80s and 90s was this super cult publication by Tibor Kalman. And I applied. I didn't think I would get it. I wrote a bunch of stories and little articles, sent it along, and then a few months later they called me and said that I had been hired to come to Italy for a fellowship and to work as a staff writer on the magazine. And after I completed the fellowship, I moved to Tunisia, which is my father's country. And so for me, it felt really important as I was starting to establish myself to choose to live in a country that I was already intimately connected to. And that's how I started freelancing as a journalist. And at the time in Tunis, I moved there in 2015, there were quite a few terrorist attacks. This was sort of the rise of ISIS was during this time. And so a lot of my reporting focused on that in the beginning. It feels natural for me to be a journalist. I love to go into other people's stories and situations and to kind of pull the pieces or pull the strings of a puzzle and figure out sort of the why of a story. I love to sort of see all the dots along the way that maybe other people haven't connected, and to be able to go and to sort of create a story out of that. But I also think, as journalists, we have a tremendous amount of personal responsibility, and I think there is very much an ethical and moral component to journalism, and that motivates me as well. Those moments that really ground you to the story and to the people and the situation that you're reporting on are the best. And I've had a few of those over the years. I've been lucky enough to work on a couple of stories that have really stayed with me here in Greece, and also reporting in Tunisia, or elsewhere in Europe and the Middle East. When I came here, I started doing a lot of reporting on migration, and I was particularly fascinated by the migration patterns in Evros, which is the land border between Greece and Turkey, because it's been a historic point of passage for a very long time. And over the course of that reporting and making contacts and all of this, I came across this story that had gotten extremely little press, either Greek press or international press, of 3 Afghan women who had been very brutally murdered on the border. They had just crossed from Turkey into Greece. This is a really strange story. I mean, a lot of people die crossing in Evros. They drown or they die from hypothermia. Like we just saw last week, there were 19 migrants who died of hypothermia. But murder is not something that really happens there. So that sort of piqued my interest, and I also got very angry that there was no one, or it seemed like there was no one that was interested in this story. It first took me a long time to find an organization that would support me to be able to do this. And I mean, I say this a lot, but I am extremely grateful to iMEdD that not only supported this project for 1 year, but because of COVID, which sort of stopped everyone's reporting, and mine as well, also supported me for the 2nd year. And I've been able to conclude the investigation of that story, which, of course, feels good on a personal level, but more importantly, I think is going to bring the attention and the justice that these women, Fahima, who's the mother, and her two daughters, Rabiya and Farzana, really deserve. I'm really excited to be able to publish the story. It'll be coming out in a few months. And yeah, that's sort of all I can share for now. For me, it's really validating. I've been working on this story now. Time is so bizarre. I think it's been 3 years now that I've been working on this, and to see that through, and I don't want to make it about me, because I think whether it was me or another journalist is not really the point. The fact that there was a journalist's attention on a story that otherwise would have really just lingered is extremely validating, to know that, like, yeah, there are still moments as journalists, like, where you can make a difference in your reporting, and where you can also help something that's bigger than this article that you're writing or this documentary that you're making, that it could actually have some sort of impact. But I will say that the story that I've been working on through iMEdD certainly left a lot of scars and did prompt me to get a therapist, which has been very helpful. And I wish that was an option that was available for all journalists, especially young journalists when you're starting out. But again, the financial aspect of it makes it really difficult to do that. Optimism in journalism, yes and no. I think there's a tremendous amount of reporting that's being done by our colleagues that really does make a difference. And there's a lot that we do that doesn't. And I think what can be frustrating on a personal level as a journalist is you can work so hard on something and it's relevant for 5 minutes on the internet and then nothing comes out of it. But there are other moments and there are other stories that really do make an impact. Historically, journalism has also been used as a tool of oppression and has been used as a tool of control and of propaganda. So I would say for certain people, like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense that you wouldn't trust journalists and that you wouldn't trust journalism as a whole. But I think there's a lot of nuance to everything, and there's also a lot of extremely important journalism that's being done, and it is, one of the pillars of a democratic state is to have a free press. Now, the question of, do we really have a free press in a country like Greece, where a few weeks ago a journalist was murdered in front of his house, that's a more complicated question. But I think the other thing that trust implies is a concept of truth, and I think something that's sort of been lacking in a more nuanced conversation about journalism is the idea of an absolute truth does not exist. There isn't only one story, there isn't only one perspective or one point of view. I think it's a really lonely job, especially if you work as a freelancer, and so it's really important to be able to build a community around you. But the mental health aspect and the toll that it takes, for sure. I mean, a journalist is kind of this strange vessel that sort of you are constantly having all of this information poured into you, and you're not really allowed to have an emotional reaction, or at least that's sort of what we've been told. And I think one issue that I personally have with a lot of journalism is that we tend to flatten things to their worst. So when we're talking about refugees, for example, it's like we see them at the worst moment in their life, and it's so unfair because that's not who they are in their totality. Like, if someone were to see us in our worst moment, we wouldn't want that to be the only thing that they remember about us. And I mean, I've interviewed family members who, part of their family, they were victims of ISIS or of Daesh. I mean, I've interviewed women who've been victims of sexual trafficking. I've interviewed people who've been raped or whatever, sort of we think is the worst thing that can happen to you. And what attracts me is not so much the strife or the conflict, but more the resilience of the human being within all of that. I see what I've done, and I'm proud of the reporting I've done, and I'm proud of the stories that I've told. I don't know if I have what it takes to continue. I mean, it's an industry that really does take so much out of you, and I'm not sure where it'll go for me. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll put my hat on the door, or whatever the expression is, because I see behind me this amazing group of young journalists who are coming up and who are also using all sorts of different tools to be able to tell stories. And people always like to shit on the generation that comes after them, that just like is a pastime of old people. And now that I am like an older person, I just see it in the complete opposite way. Like the generation that's coming up after me, they're so progressive, they're so open-minded, they're so empathetic, they really care, not just about themselves, but everyone around them. And I find that really inspiring. So I'm happy also to leave room for other people to come up and to tell stories that they think are important.